So in yesterday class, we have started Java programming. So as part of it, we have seen introduction and then we have seen how we can install Java and Eclipse IDE. So we already installed and also seen a basic program, right? How to start creating a new Java project. And then we have seen how to create new Java package. And then now we have seen how to create a new class and the simple programs we have seen. So from today onwards, we are going to start learning a new concepts, so Java basics. And any programming, if you want to start learning, so we need to start first like variables and how to create variables and how to use different data types, how to work with the data, which is most important. So when you start Java also, first we need to understand what is variables and how to define the variables and how to use data types. And then we will slowly learn how to use conditional statement, looping statement, arrays, strings, and so on. Okay. So as part of today's session, we will start learning variables and data types. So what is variable first of all? So variable is a container which can hold some data. So whenever you want to write some program, you want to deal with some data. So to store data, we use something called variables. Variable is nothing but it is a character, or we can say a letter which can hold some data. It is representing data. Okay, so to represent some data, we use something called variable. I will specify some, I will define some variable with some data types. So now for suppose I can say x equal to 100, which is basically a number. So definitely x should be int data type. Int is nothing but an integer. In Java, when I create a variable as an int, we can store only numbers without having any decimal. Only numbers we can store. And similarly, if I want to store item price, there's a 10.25. This is a decimal number. If you want to store a decimal number, the data type should be float. And similarly, if you want to store age of the person, then the data type should be again int. And if you want to store name of the person, so basically it is a string. String means what? Collection of characters. So whenever you define a string, that should be put inside the double quotations. This is a Java syntax. In the double quotations, you can provide the string. String is nothing but collection of characters. So now what is the type of this variable is? String, the type of variable. Now I want to store a grade of a student. Grade. So grade is normal single character, A, B, C, something like this. So whenever you want to store a single character in a variable, that we should keep inside the single quotations. Let's say grade is A, that I can store like this. So now what is the type of this variable is char. So depends on data. What type of data we are storing into the variable. Accordingly, we have to select or we have to choose the right data type. Here, these are all comes under different data types. Okay. Now, we'll see some example about the variables and then we will discuss in detail about the data types. Now, go to Eclipse. And yesterday we already installed this Eclipse and people who have joined today newly, please go through and please watch the yesterday session video. Okay, you will understand how to install Java and Eclipse. Now, this is my project name and this is my SRC is a root package and day one is another package, sub package which we have created yesterday. Now I'm going to create another package under SRC, new package, TA2. So today I'm going to create another package. So package is nothing but what? Is it just like a folder? And here don't take package info.java. We don't need this. Simply specify the name of the package and say finish. So now it is created a new empty package. Now whenever you start writing a new Java program, what is the first thing we need to do? We have to create a new class. So right click on this package, new class. And here we have to provide the name of the class. Yesterday we have seen how to, what are the naming conventions which we have to follow while providing the class name. Right, so here I am giving some name to class, let's say variables demo. And if you select this checkbox, the main method will automatically included within the class. And if we not selected, then it will just create a only class, and inside the class we have to write our own main method. So let's select this option, public static void main, and then click on finish. You don't need to change any options here, just provide only class name and method, public static void main, select this checkbox and simply say finish. That's it. So it is now created a new class. This is the package. In which package we are in, it will show you in the first line. And this is the class name, public class variables demo, and this is the starting point of the class. And you can have this curly brace in the next line also, no problem. And within the class, this is the starting point of the class, this is the ending point. Or we can say this is scope of the class. And inside the class, we have a method. So this is called main method. Public static void main string args. This is the parameter, and this is a simple command. We can just remove this. So this is the structure. Now once you write the structure, we can start writing the program. Now where we have to write our code? Only inside the main method we have to write. Now I will define some variables. Observe this very carefully. There are many ways to create a variables in Java. So I will show you different approaches and different methods to create a variables and how to use those variables, how to store the data. We will try to understand that first, and then we will discuss data types. So to create a variable in Java, first we have to specify the data type and then variable. For example, let's say int a, and every statement will end with the semicolon. In Java, every statement will end with the semicolon. So if I leave like this, I have not assigned any data to this. Just I created a single variable here, int a. I have not assigned any data. So if you leave this variable like this without data, we call it as just a declaration. We just declare the variables. We haven't used it so far, and we haven't assigned any data to the variable. You just declare the variable. So once you declare the variable, later you can use the variable. Later you can assign the data to the variable. For example, in the next line, I will assign the data like this. And this is called assignment. Assignment. So for declaring the variable, I have written one statement. For assigning the data into the variable, I have created another statement. If I look at here, int is a data type, a is a variable. So this is a declaration. I have not assigned any data. Later, I have assigned some data to the variable a equal to 100. So when you are assigning the data to the variable, this variable is already declared here with the integer data type. So when I define the value in the variable, or when you store the value in a variable, you no need to write data type again. It will give you syntax error. So why it is giving syntax error? Because this a is duplicate local variable. Duplicated means this variable is already created, already declared with the integer data type. So you no need to specify the data type again like this, a equal to 100. So this is called declaration. This is called assignment. Sometimes we don't know the value, but later we will try to assign the value. In those cases, what we can do? We can simply declare the variables. Later we can assign the data into the variables. Whenever you know the data, you can assign it. This is declaration, another one is assignment. Now, suppose I already know the value of the variable. I can simply write one single statement. Assignment, declaration and assignment. Together, I want to write one single statement. So then what you can do, you can just comment this. Now single statement. Int a equal to 100. One single statement. Data type, variable, and then value, statement end with the semicolon. So this is single statement. Here what we have done, declaration plus assignment. We have done both the things in one single line. Declaration and then assignment. Now what is the value of a here? 100. 100 is the value of a. Now I want to print it. I want to get the value of a. I want to just print the output. Value of a I want to print. So what you can do now? You can say system.out.println. Inside this you can just specify the variable. So what will happen now? We just specify only variable name. Variable means what? It holds some data. So what is the value of a? 100. So when I print the value of a, so this will print the 100. You can see this is the value. So a value is 100. We have assigned. When you print the value of a, you are getting 100. And can we put this in the double quotes like this? When you put the double quotes, what will happen? Now a is not a variable now. It is just a string. So when you run this, what will happen? It will just print as it is. Whatever you put in the double quotation, it's printed as it is. Okay, we don't do like this. So whenever you want to get the value from the variable, or whenever you want to print the value from the variable, you have to just specify the variable inside the print statement. System.out.println. So then you will get the value from the variable like this. Now, initially here a value is 100. And after that I have printed value of a. Then I want to change the value of a. I want to change. Is it possible to change this value later? Not here. I have already defined the statement and I have printed some value from it. Now after printing the value of a, then I want to change the value of a. Yes, still we can change. How to change it? Simply can say a equal to 200. And again, you no need to write the data type. Here data type you don't need to write. You should not write. Why? Because this a is already specified with data type, integer data type. So second time when I am trying to use this variable, you no need to write the data type. Simply I can say equal to 200. Now when you print a value here, what is an output you will get here? Initially a value 100, then we printed a value here, and here it is got printed 100. Now after that I am changing a value equal to 200, and then I am printing a value here. So because we already changed it here we will get a latest value. So the old value is already replaced with the new value. Okay. So if I print this, initially 100 is got printed from this particular statement. After that a become 200. Then when I print a value here, it is printing 200. Initially it is 100. Now it becomes a 200. So what we have understood based on this, the values of the variable can always vary. That means we can always change the value of the variables whenever it is needed. Okay, whenever it is needed, we can always change the values of the variables. They are not constant. So this is a simple example of how to create a variables and assign the data in one statement, and we have get the value from the variables. Now I will show you different approaches to create variables. Let's come on this one. Now let me show you different approaches or different methods to create a variables. That's the first approach. I say approach 1. So I'm trying to define some variables here. Let's say int a equal to 100. This is one variable, semicolon. Int b equal to 200. This is another variable. Int c equal to 300. This is another variable. So totally how many variables I have defined? 3 variables, a, b and c. A contains 100, b contains 200, c contains 300. 3 variables with 3 different values. Now I can directly print a value, b value, c value by using print statement. So this is one approach. We can directly define the different variable names. We can directly assign the data. This is one approach. Now same thing we can do in another way. Just observe. Here in first approach what I have done, to define 3 variables I have written 3 different lines. First int a equal to 100, int b 200, c 300. Now if I look at this one, approach 2. See this. In the second approach, observe. First I will create a variables int a comma b comma c. All 3 belongs to same data type, right? So instead of writing this data type int multiple times, I can simply write only one time and specify whatever variables I want to create. Say int a comma b comma c. You can create any number of variables like this by separating comma. After that, I will try to assign the data. So A equal to 100, B equal to 200, C equal to 300, like this. This is the other way. So if you can directly assign the data to the variables like this, or first you create the variables and then you can assign the data. So this is a declaration. This is called assignment. In the first approach we have seen that. Declaration, then assignment. Here we declared 3 variables by separating comma, and you don't need to write like int A, int B, int C multiple times again. So you can simply write one single line to create all the variables, then you can assign the data. This is one more approach. Now suppose if they are belongs to, and this is applicable only if these variables are belongs to same data type. Just hold on, I'll come to that part. Okay. So if these variables are belongs to same data type, then only this syntax is possible. Suppose A is equal to int, B is equal to 4, to C is a string, then this syntax is not possible. Okay. Because we specified the data type only one time, then we can add multiple variables. So obviously all the variables are belongs to same data type. Okay. Now there is another approach. See this, approach 3. In this, I will define int A equal to 100, comma, B equal to 200, comma, C equal to 300. This is another approach. So in this, we define data type only once, and along with the variable, we also assign some data. So A equal to 100, comma, B equal to 200, comma, C equal to 300. So we can have n number of variables like this. This is also correct notation. So this is another approach. But if you look at this, second approach and third approach are possible only if these variables are belongs to same data type. Okay, same data type, then only it is possible, otherwise not. Suppose if these variables are related to different data types, like one is a string, another one is float, another one is integer, then go with the first approach. Okay, so approach 3 is for if all the variables are belongs to same data type. Okay, so this approach 2 is applicable only if all the variables are belongs to same data type. Same thing for third approach also. Third approach is also applicable if all the variables are belongs to same data type. And if you have a different data types of data, then go with the first approach. Here, this is an integer, this is a float, this is a string. Like this, you can define different data types. So if you have different data types, then you can go with if all the variables belongs to different data types. Okay, this approach 1 we have to follow if variables are belongs to different data types. And approach 2 and approach 3 is applicable if the variables are belongs to same data type, because we specify all the variables with one single data type. So ABC are integers. Here also ABC are integers. So this is also possible. So these are the 3 different approaches which we have to create a variables. Now I want to get the values from the variables. So here I have defined 3 variables, A, B, C, and they have some data. Now I want to print the values of A, B and C. So how can we get the data from A, B, C? If you want to extract the value from the variable, you can write system.out.println. Simply you can say A, variable name. So that will print the value of A. And then I can say here B. So this will print the value of B. Then it will print the value of C. So I can directly specify the variables inside the println. And I execute this, this will print the values of A, B, C. So the value of A is 100 and value of B is 200, the value of C is 300. Okay, now if I look at this output here, you cannot recognize whether A value is 100 or B value is 200 or C value is 300. Exactly we don't know what is the value of 100, what is the value of 200 and 300, right? So you can write more meaningful message in the println statement. So for example, here I'm printing just only 100, but I don't know whether this 100 belongs to A, B or C. So I can write some meaningful message here. In the double quotations, you can write the value of A is, okay, this whatever you put in the double quotes, it is exactly printed in the console window. After that, this is a variable, right? You need to do something called concatenation like this. Concatenation. Okay, so the value of, let me finish. I will show you all the combinations. Once I finish, then you can ask the questions. Okay, just concentrate what I'm explaining here. I will show you different things. Let me first finish and then you can ask the questions. Okay, so system.out.println. So I can write some meaningful message like this. So the value of A is colon and A. So these two are two separate entities, right? So this is a string which we are directly printing. Okay, for example, I remove this A. Now what will happen? Whatever you put in the double quotes, it is exactly printed in the console window. See here, the value of A is, that's it. But here I want to print the value. So how can we do this? You have to do something called concatenation. Plus is a concatenation operator. So when I say plus K, then what happens? Whatever the value we have assigned to the A, that will be printed as it is in the console window along with the string. So when I execute now, you can see this is more meaningful message. The value of A is 100, right? So like this we can simply write. For B also we can say the value of B is and concatenated with B. And same thing here. You can say the value of C is, and here you can say concatenation. So we can also customize this message more meaningful manner. Right? So now we can see it is more meaningful. The value of A is 100, value of B is 200, value of C is 300. Okay? So like this, we can extract the values from the variables. Now here, if I look at this, I have printed the values in the different statements. When I print A value, I have written one print statement. When I print B value, I have written another statement. When I print C value, I have written another statement. So instead of writing multiple statements, can I write one single print statement which will print all the values of A, B and C? Can we print one single statement? By using one single print statement, can we print the values of all the variables? You can still print it, but we need to slightly customize the statement. Let me show you how can we do this. System.out.println. Here we cannot directly say A comma B comma C. This is not allowed. Comma operator not allowed in Java. Okay? But I want to print all three values with single line. So then how can we do this? Can we use concatenation like this? A first value we will print, then concatenated by B, then concatenated by C. Is it possible? When I use concatenation, then what will happen now? Because A, B, C are the integers, right? So when I use plus operator, they will do addition. Instead of printing the 100, 200, 300, just it is adding just 600. It is performing addition operation. So we are not getting exact values. So how can we print all the values in one single line? Okay. So if you want to print this, we can simply customize it. So how can we customize? First, you print a value, okay, and then concatenate with some space like this. And then again one more concatenation. After printing this B value, concatenate with some space again, then again concatenation. Means we have to give some space between each and every variable. And this space is just like a string. Okay, now if I print this run as Java application, now we can see all three values in one single line. Okay, because if I don't use this string between these numbers, then what will happen? It will perform addition operation. All three numbers it is added. So we are not getting exact value. So if you add this space in between these variables, this is considered as a string. Even though if you don't have anything in the double quotations, it is empty or space. So when I concatenate with the space, then first it is printed A value, then it is giving some space. After that printed B value, then given some more space, then printed C value. So like this we can print all variables values in single line. So this is also right. Okay. So this is how we can simply work with the variables. We can simply work with the variables. So these are the different approaches. So if you have a different variables with a different type of data, you can go with the first approach. And if you have variables belongs to same data type, then you can go with approach 1 or approach 2. Anything is fine. And we can extract the data from the variable just by using variable name in the println statements. Okay. So is this clear, everyone? Please put in the chat box, confirm in the chat box. Is it clear so far about variables? And don't go beyond this. So whatever so far I have covered, is this clear? So we have seen all the combinations. The last syntax is simple. I just printed a variable A, okay, and then this is called concatenation operator. So concatenation means in the next example you will understand more about this plus operator. And basically plus is a concatenation operator. Concatenation means what? It will join multiple things. So here A, B, C. 3 different variables are there, right? So these different variables we have joined with the space. Here it is one join, here it is another join. Okay, we combined 3 variables, but still we want to get the values from it. So I just put concatenation with a space. In the next example, you will understand more about this. Okay. Alright, so this is all about variables. So what is variable? So far what we understood, variable is a container which can hold some data. And to representing the data, we have to create variables. And the values of the variables always varies. That's the reason we call them as variables. Okay. And when you create a variable, you must specify the data type. Without data type, we cannot create a variable. And how to decide the data type? Based on the data. So what type of data we are storing into variable, accordingly we have to choose the right data type. Okay. So now we have discussed more about variables. Now let us try to discuss about data types. So guys, if you have any questions or any queries, let us discuss at the end of the session. Okay, so in yesterday's class, if you have any issues at the installations and everything, don't discuss now. Let us focus completely on your session first. So don't distract your mind unnecessarily. Okay, so first listen things. At the end of the session, you can share your screen and you can discuss all your queries. Okay, so don't think about all those things. Let us focus first of all. Right, so we have done with the variables. Now let us move on to the data types. Okay. Your focus will be lost if you are thinking about something else. You are asking something else means you are not focusing here. So please focus. And if you have any queries, we will discuss at the end of the session. We have a separate time for that. So what is data type? What is data type? At the beginning I told you, data type is nothing but what? It represents the type of data. Very simple definition. So data type is always represent the type of data. Right? So represents type of data. So whenever you store some data in a variable, we have to specify the data type. So that we have understood so. So whenever you specify some data or whenever you want to store some data in a variable, you have to specify the data type. But what are the data types are available in Java and which data type we have to choose while creating the variables? Okay. In Java, we have so many data types are there. Mainly we can divide it to two categories. 2 categories of data types. One is called primitive data types. This is a categorization. Primitive data types. Second category is non-primitive, and these are also called derived data types, also called collections. Okay, so these are the two different types. Categorization represents a type of data. So primitive data types, non-primitive data types. Primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Non-primitive is also called as derived data types or collections. So I will list out what are primitive, what are non-primitive. And non-primitive, these collections we will separately discuss in another sessions, which is very huge concept. So today let us focus only on primitive data types. Okay. Now in the primitive data types, what are all different types are available? And we can again categorize to 4 different types. To represent the numbers, we have 4 data types. One is called byte, all are lowercase characters. Byte, short, int, long. So these 4 data types we will use to represent number without decimal. Okay? Byte, short, int, long. So these 4 data types, we can use one of the data type to represent a number without having decimal. If you have a number doesn't have any decimal, then you can use either byte, short, int, long.